Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Okay, so here we are. This is the new edition of Tapology Lucky Bastard Game, the 32nd edition now. The 31st edition ended in the last episode of this series, I guess, with Cushy Cake being the crowned champion after 4 rounds. So we move on to this game, the Tapology Lucky Bastard 32nd edition. That's going to take me a while to get used to saying. Anyway, this is the first round draw for it anyway, and means we're all back in it as well as some new faces as well. So let's go through and see who's here. It's Just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for being here, by the way, for taking part in this game. It's you guys that really make the game, so it's great to see your continued support for it in the threads and by actively taking part in this game. So thank you to everyone for being here, and best of luck with this game. Okay, so I'll just check I'm sharing it on the right screen, so don't waste a couple of minutes. There's 39 of you in total, which makes it the biggest, if not one of the biggest games we've ever had, which is amazing. So we have A, laugh my ass off, a Nazy, I would pronounce it. I normally just call him A from here on in. uh, Baron von Rattus, Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, Cowfoth, Genhager Ruiz, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Cool Hand Puke, D1, D4, K10 making a return to this game, Damien Handel 420, Dr. Maxis 2, El Guapo, Foghorn Sam, Geneva 65 also making a return to this game, uh, Graham Mann, who is, I believe, is making his debut in this game. So best of luck to you. Uh, Hope you get beginner's luck and all of that. It's your boy SB, Jack Soto, JP DeChamp 27. Best of luck to you as you're also a debut, Tunt as well, and also give a shout out to your game that you run in the Tapology forums. He runs the Baddest Motherfuckers game, which is an extremely fun game to take part in. It's basically a points-based game where you post your UFC and your PFL picks, and you get awarded points based on the accuracy of those predictions. It's very easy to take part in. You just literally just have to post your picks, and then he does all the hard work of adding it all up. So thank you for running that, and it's great to take part in, even though I forgot my PFL picks this week. Unfortunately, apologies for that. But yeah, but definitely well worth checking out for anyone else on the Tapology forums that isn't in that game. KK Kombu, Knife Rusty, our reigning defending Lucky Bastard game champion, Cushy Cake, is hoping to make a successful defense of his title. MMA Miyagi, who is another debutant, so welcome. Best of luck to you in this game. You also mentioned in the thread that you're actually going to see this live, which absolutely jealous of you, mate. So hopefully that's a great experience in person. Never actually been to a UFC event in person, usually because they're very rarely in the UK, and I don't really like traveling that much, and they're also bloody expensive, to be honest. So never really bothered because of the cost, but I hope you have a great time tomorrow night. Mule Floyd, Piggy Bank, Piggy Bank, uh, Rigno, Shat, Sion6, Spockling, also making his debut, so best of luck to you too. Me, Steve Terry, the Dirty UFC Man, the Matchmaker, the MMA Historian, Tosh, Trail Allman, Trig, the first of our two alliances in this game, Trostradamus, a mashup of Tros and Costradamus, of course. So see if two heads is better than one. Uber Industry, of course, our second alliance immediately follows them. That is the German alliance between Ubermatch and Schwer Industry. So again, see if two people is more powerful than one. And finally, we have ex-con Chris. Right, so now that we know who's taking part in it, best of luck to all of you. And for this first round, we have UFC 320, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2, the rematch, of course, between them after their fight earlier this year. Ended with Magomed Ankalaev winning by unanimous decision and claiming Poatan's belt. Um, and to be honest, I can see it going the same way again. I don't see this fight playing out too differently to how it did the first time. Um, Ankalaev in the last fight just completely controlled the majority of the fight, and Pereira did. There were some good striking exchanges in it, but Pereira just couldn't quite get into his rhythm. I felt he couldn't quite. It just what didn't look like the same Pereira that we'd seen against against other opposition, because of course being some pretty much everyone else of the who's who of the light heavyweight division, Prochazka, Hill, Roundtree. Um, so yeah, and that's of course not his fault. It's just because Ankalaev just controlled that fight so effectively, and his game plan was just so spot on. Um, I think if Pereira wants to win his belt back, he's going to have to do it by knockout. And that does lead me to wonder if he's going to be a little bit more careless this time. Maybe he's going to maybe not uh, be as risk adverse, maybe. But Ankalaev himself's got knockout power, so that'd be a bit of a risk if he were to if he were to try that. But that's really his only way to win this, and I just think it's going to be a repeat rather than revenge. So Magomed Ankalaev for unanimous decision. That's my prediction for this one. But of course, you're not here to listen to my predictions. You're here to see who you're getting drawn with in this game. Obviously, I will give comments on the fighters, and anyone who watches these videos knows I have a tendency to ramble on. So this will probably be quite a long video, but we'll try and keep it. I'm trying. Recently been trying to focus on keeping this a bit more concise, just so I don't bore you all to death. But anyway, let's get on with it. Without further ado, all right, it's A laugh my ass off and AZ up first. Let's see who the first fighter out in this 32nd edition is going to be. And he gets Ju Sang Yu. It's Ju Sang Yu for you, A my ass off of lazy, or A. And he is in very, very close fight, possibly the closest on the card against Daniel Santos. Um, Ju Sang Yu, Zombie Junior, as he's known by, a hell of a nickname to live up to, but he's doing it so far in the UFC. Won his UFC debut in just 28 seconds against the formerly unbeaten Jekka Sharagiv. Hope I pronounced that right. And he's a good fighter, Jekka. He's a very good fighter. He was 8-0 going into that fight. So to put him away in just 28 seconds like that is that's incredible start to your time in the promotion. Um, Before that UFC fight, those 28 seconds, he did have a career before that, where he uh, went 8-0 on the regional scene before going 9-0 after that. But two-time regional champion, and it's a great prospect. It's just a question of seeing if this carries on in the UFC. It has so far, um, but we just haven't seen enough of him at UFC level to really determine if he's the real deal or if he needs to develop a little bit more. Daniel Santos, on the other hand, a little bit more experienced, a very tough test for you. Um, 3-1 in the UFC, so a little bit more established in the promotion. He's fairly well rounded in terms of most of his wins often come by knockout, but he can go the distance if need be. So he's got the stamina um, to drag out over 3 rounds if it goes that way. He's never been finished. He's been defeated with 2 losses, but in his career, but he's never been finished. Both his losses been by decision. Um, and whoever wins, I think this is going to go the distance. I think that's how it's going to go. I have sided with Daniel Santos for this, just because a little bit more experience in the UFC, but that's the only reason. This could go either way. So, fighter who's never been finished versus a fighter who's never been defeated. An intriguing start to this Lucky Bastard game, and starts with what I'd consider to be a coin flip fight. So, best of luck to A. Let's see if he's on the right side of that coin flip. Okay, Baron von Rattus up next to face the wheel. If I click on the right thing, if I actually click on the actual, yeah, there we go. Bring the tab back up. There we go. All right, so Baron von Rattus is about to learn his fate, and he gets Ramage Brahamid. Butchered that name, so apologies to Ramiz there, but he's Ramage Brahimaj for Baron von Rattus. And it's the secondary prelim fight, so to speak. It's not the first opening fight, but the one after it. He's up against Austin Vanderfoot. Um, a little bit of an underdog. He's coming into this one. The odds of thing is plus 240. Vanderfoot minus 300 in terms of the odds. Um, Rahim has got around a little bit. He's 4-3 in the UFC, so he's established himself a little bit in the promotion, and his similar record 4-2 in the LFA. So he's even though he's still fairly early on in his career, 12-5 overall, he's had some fairly high quality fights. He's not been fighting on your local pub shows and stuff like that. He's been in legitimate promotions for a lot of his early career. Um, he's mostly a submission artist, tends to go for the look to try and bring the game, try and bring the fight to the ground and look for a finish from there. But it's Austin Vanderford though. He's a little bit of I'll say a little bit of a favourite, maybe for a reason. He's a little bit less experienced, 13-2, a little bit less experienced in the UFC, notably as well. He won his UFC debut in his last fight, but that is his only fight at UFC level. Again, very well rounded and he's gone the distance multiple times, so he's proved he's got the stamina to go the distance if need be, and that's what I think is going to be the deciding factor in this fight. I think it's just going to be whoever's still got that energy in the later portions of the fight takes this, and I think it's more likely that Vanderfoot is going to beat that fighter. We saw that in Bellator a few times, so his 5-2 record over there. Um, he's 35 though, so uh, normally someone who's got a 13-2 record would be considering them a prospect, but it's not really applicable to Vanderfoot. But in any case, I still think he wins this one. So I've got him to win by decision. And as I said, he's a moderate favourite and he's a favourite for a reason. That's the thing to remember. Sometimes favourites are favourites for a reason. And I think that's the classic case of this being the case here, unfortunately, for Baron von Rattus. That wouldn't be a huge upset if Ramirez did manage to find a win. Okay, so we have Bellatrix ready to learn her fate. Let's see who Bellatrix gets paired with. And she gets Abus Magomedov. Abus Magomedov there for Bellatrix. and he's up against always dangerous Joe Pyfer. Um, Start with Magomedov. I have gone with Pyfer for a first round knockout for my prediction for this one. Um, but Magomedov, he won the unanimous decision against Mikel Pereira, who is a very unorthodox striker himself. So he was able to mitigate his offence and get the win there. Uh, he was this thing. He has been KO'd twice in his career, and this is something that's going to be a factor when I go on to talk about Python, as because basically Magomedov got stopped by Sean Strickland, who is, don't get me wrong, Sean Strickland is an elite fighter, but he isn't exactly known for his knockout power. His jabs and teeps you to a unanimous decision victory, and nothing wrong with that. It works for him, and he's made himself a champion at one point in his career. Uh, Took him right to the very top, so you can't fault him for that tactic, but he's not exactly known for his knockout power, is what I'm saying. And Magomedov is one of the people that on the unfortunate to be on the receiving end of that power. The other person I would just give a shout out to Lewis Taylor in the PFL, who also stopped Magomedov by knockout. It's but Joe Pyfer, knockout artist, really. Let's be honest. He's went the distance last time against Kelvin Gastelum, but usually he doesn't like going the distance. He usually tries to finish it earlier than that, and uh, it tends to be uh, yeah, I say more often than not, he tends to find them. And against someone who's proven to be a little bit chinny like Magomedov, that doesn't bode well. And I know we shouldn't really use MMA maths here, but the way I look at it is if someone like Sean Strickland can knock out Magomedov, Joe Pyfer's definitely got a chance. So Joe Pyfer for a first round knockout is my prediction for that one. So might need a bit of luck there, I'm afraid. Bellatrix. Okay, so Boom Shakalaka is about to learn his fate, and he gets Austin Vanderfoot. So that gives us our first head to head. Obviously, because there's so many of you in it. There's 28 fighters and there is 39 of you. So double ups and head to heads are inevitable. But well, I mean, obviously, unless of course you all got the same fighter. Um, but anyways, I will try and as I go along, try and link up where possible. But it will get to a certain point later in this video where it's just going to be too hard just looking at it in list point of view to remember who's been drawn with who's going to be fighting against who and all that. But in the early stages like this, we can say Baron von Ratus versus Boom Shakalaka, or Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderfoot. And obviously, I mentioned that fight earlier in the video. Boom Shakalaka has the man on the other side of the octagon for that fight. Vanderfoot, who obviously won his UFC debut. Uh, and it's basically comes down to Ramiz Brahimaj's experience in the UFC uh, against Vanderfoot's ability to stay in the later stages of the fight and also his Bellator experience. Obviously, UFC trumps Bellator experience uh, in terms of the quality of the opposition. So it's a case of do you prefer to go with the quality of opposition or do you prefer to go with the um, basically who can stay in the fight longer? And I'm gonna think that's more likely to be Vanderfoot. So that's basically, as I said, is Vanderford was the favourite for that, minus 300 favourite, and Boom Shakalaka finds himself with the favourite. So it's not really much more I can add on to that one, I'm afraid. But the rest of it just comes down to personal opinions. Obviously, I'm sure several of you, or many of you, will probably agree or disagree with my opinions. But the way I see it, I've got Vanderford by decision. So I think Boom Shakalaka is going to be the one getting the better end of that head to head. It'd be interesting to see if any more people get added to that fight. See what becomes our unofficial Lucky Bastard Game main event, so to speak. Um, there could still be another fight that would end up with loads of them on, but there could be the unofficial main event instead. But for now, we got Baron Van Rattus versus Boom Shakalaka, the Rats versus the Boom. And next up, Calforth to learn his fate. Let's see who Calforth's going to be paired with. And Calforth gets Chris Gutierrez. So it's Chris Gutierrez for Calforth. And up against Farid Basharat, who is, there's no getting away from it. He's a massive favourite, minus 500 favourite. There are quite a few heavy favourites, heavy underdogs on this card, quite a few one-sided fights. Um, Start with Gutierrez. Definitely the more experienced of the two. Comparing their records, Basharat is of course 13 and 0, but Gutierrez is 22 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws. Very respectable records, and he's got that experience that Basharat simply won't have. And he is coming into this one with on a 2 fight win streak, with both of those being decision wins. Um, the only trouble is he hasn't always been that fortunate with the judges. He's got 4 decision losses in his career. Um, he does have the power to end the fight early, though, if he wants to, and I think he's going to need to, because Farid Basharat is a very effective fighter. Usually goes the distance, or at least in the UFC anyway. Uh, Back in his regional days, he was a submission artist, and since coming into the UFC, it's whether I'm not sure if it's maybe to jump up in the opposition. I'm in the quality of the opposition. That's what I'm going to guess. But he's tended to go the distance, most of them, and wins wide unanimous decisions. And I don't see why he wouldn't in this one. Uh, and especially against Chris Gutierrez, who more often than not, when it does go the distance, is on the wrong side of the scorecards. And yeah, it's just I think that's basically the main reason Farid Basharat is going to be the heavy favourite for this. Still undefeated, and I can't see that changing tomorrow night. To be honest, I think it would be a big upset if it did change. But I think Basharat keeps his O, and we're going to be saying goodbye to Calforth, I'm afraid. But we could be wrong. Let's see how it plays out in the octagon tomorrow night. Right, we have Canhego Ruiz now to see who he's going to get paired with. And another double up here, Ju Sang Yu. Ju Sang Yu there for Canhego Ruiz. A had him earlier in the game, and as I mentioned, that's a coin flip fight against Daniel Santos. That is it was very hard to split the two of them, and yeah, I've gone with Santos uh, simply on the basis that he's got that little bit more experience. But when I say little bit, I mean literally 3 fights, and of course the extra ones in the UFC. And those is I think those is going to be the key difference, really. Just those little bit more used to the bright lights of the octagon, a bit more. Uh, yeah, like I say, just the quality of the opposition just getting better, really. So But Ju Sang Yu, though, looks very dangerous. And so far, he hasn't done anything wrong in his career at all. 9-0, still undefeated. And he made a hell of an impression with his UFC debut. So, um, you're trying to think of faults with him that maybe Santos could capitalize on. Nothing obvious so far. It's just going to be a case of Santos wins by doing what he always does well, by doing it well again. Basically, just carrying on fighting his fight the way he always does, and he should end up on the right end of the scoreline come the end of it. But it's a very close fight. It wouldn't surprise me whoever wins that one. So so yeah, Canhego Ruiz joins the coin flip fights there. Uh, C. Collins, 44, is now going to learn his fate in the hands of the wheel. And we have another head-to-head. The wheel already destined to cause chaos because he gets Joe Pfeiffer. Uh, already, the wheel's already wanting to start mixing things up and trying to eliminate people. I'm assuming it's revenge from the fact that the wheel didn't win the last game. Obviously, I will just reiterate this little tradition we got going. This will come to prominence a little bit more in the later rounds, but obviously, this game goes on until we have one person left in it. On the occasions where everyone gets eliminated, say we go down to the last two or three, and all of them have losing fighters, then the wheel is declared the winner. And in those cases, like it was last time, oh no, not like it was last time. I mean, unlike it was last time is what I meant to say. Cushy Cake won the last game, and so yeah, that's Will's looking for his revenge, and by mixing it up a bit is probably how he's going to do it. Anyway, Joe Pfeiffer, very dangerous knockout artist against Abus Magomedov. Obviously, that's puts C Collins 44 at odds with Bellatrix. Uh, and yeah, it's one of, as I mentioned earlier, I see Joe Pfeiffer winning this by first round knockout. Um, yeah, it's Magomedov. He did stifle the unorthodox attack of Mikel Pereira and is vastly more experienced. So I think if Magomedov is going to win, it's probably going to be by decision. Sort of using some old man tricks, old man strength against Joe Pfeiffer, but I think Pfeiffer's power is just going to be too much because he always wants to end the fight early, and he usually does. So it's I can see Joe Pfeiffer winning by first round knockout in this one. So it's good news for C Collins 44, and not so good news for Bellatrix. Um, but anyway, we'll see how it plays out. Maybe Joe Pfeiffer will be stifled like Mikel Pereira was last time. Not impossible. Stranger things would have happened, but I'd expect Pfeiffer to finish this one early. Okay, Cheeseball is about to discover his fate. Let's see who the wheels got in store for Cheeseball. And Cheeseball gets Hiri Prochaka. Hiri Prochaka for Cheeseball then. I'll try and make an effort to spell this right. Obviously, I won't be able to get all the accents because that'll take ages to find in Excel. But Hiri Prochaka there for Cheeseball, and he's in, I suppose, like the tertiary main event, so to speak. The highest fight that isn't a championship fight, obviously a championship double bill, UFC 320, light heavyweight and bantamweight championships up for grabs. But and just before all of those two championship fights, we have Hiri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. And Prochazka is, of course, coming off of that knockout of Jamal Hill in his last fight. Um, his only losses in the UFC have been to one of the fighters in the main event, Alex Pereira. the two knockout losses to him. But again, Pereira is an elite striker, one of the pound for pound best strikers. So it's not going to be. I'm not going to hold that against him too much. Although it is noteworthy that Khalil Roundtree also went to war with Pereira. Um, uh, when was it now? It can't be that long ago, surely. Was it a year ago, maybe? But it's a fourth round knockout loss for him. But he showed insane heart in that fight. Um, his face after the fight was absolutely blooded and cut and sliced and diced every which way. And the fact that he wanted to keep going, he just had no quit in him. And not many fighters make it to the fourth round against Pereira. I mean, Prochazka didn't. So that's worthy of a shout out as well. But in terms of this fight, I think Prochazka's going to win. Uh, I've got him by third round knockout. I know Roundtree as well. Interestingly enough, actually, also coming his last fight, also coming off a win over Jamal Hill by unanimous decision. So he has had a little recovery fight since that beatdown by Pereira, but that that fight's the sort of fight that that does change a fighter. That's the sort of fight that takes years off of a fighter's health. And uh yeah, even though he had a great fight against Hill and got the win there, Brashaka also got the win against Hill, so that kind of, I suppose, those ones really cancel each other out to an extent. Although Brashaka's is a little bit more impressive, if you ask me. But to be fair, I'd have probably gone with Brashaka by decision if it weren't for that Pereira fight. But having seen the damage he took after that, I think it's just yeah, sure, the cuts and bruises have all healed, but that's the sort of beatdown that does affect a fighter's career, and it's just a question of how much more damage he can take. He's not going to quit, that's for sure, but it's just a case of what your body is physically capable of withstanding. Um, but I suppose as you could argue, Prochazka knocked out twice by Pereira. Maybe the same applies to him, but at least his were a little bit more merciful, a little quicker than Roundtree's one was. But I mean, it's like I say, it's a tough fight because I mean, personally, I want Roundtree to win because he really made me a fan after that because that performance against Pereira. But also really like Prochazka, and I think it's more realistic he's going to get the win. So yeah, it's good news for Cheeseball anyway. Let's see if my prediction's right. If so, Cheeseball goes through. Um, anyway, before I get caught up and think of something else to ramble about that fight, better move on to Cool Hand Puke. See who he's going to be paired with for tomorrow night's action. And he gets Ramiz Brahimaj, also like Baron van Rattus, and also this is shaping up to our Lucky Bastard Game main event, early days yet, but against Austin Vanderford and of course Boom Shakalaka says Baron van Rattus and Cool Hand Puke versus Boom Shakalaka so far. And um, yeah, as I say, it's just going to be a case of do you prefer the you I can't even fucking pronounce acronyms now at the moment. Um, do you prefer the UFC experience that Brahimaj has over Vanderford, or do you prefer the experience Vanderford has in uh, withstanding the later portions of the fight, and of course his Bellator experience on top of that? Um, it is, like I say, it's yeah, it's one of those. I'm trying to think of more arguments for Brahimaj, but he's got more experience in the UFC. But bear in mind, three of them were losses, so he's not exactly blowing the UFC away here. Let's be honest. He's a very solid gatekeeper in the welterweight division, but he's not exactly climbing the ranks or anything like that um, for like a title fight or even against the ranking, the top 15 really. But Vanderford, this maybe could be a bit of a stepping stone. Obviously, he still needs to make an impression in the UFC. He's only had the one UFC fight, but he won that one fairly convincingly. So that's all he can do really. So not much more I can say to that fight. I've already gone over it a few times already, despite um, only being what we like 8, 9 people in so far. But anyway, so we'll move on to D1, D4, K10, making his return to this game. It's great to see you back in it. Maybe uh, maybe the will be kind to you this time. And well, there we go. That's okay. Well, another one for Ramiz Brahimaj. So, as it stands at the moment, Baron von Rattus, Cool Hand Puke, and D1, D4, K10 are all up against Boom Shakalaka with Austin Vanderford. But Vanderford, as I've mentioned now, he is the favourite. I think he's the favourite for a reason. Uh, So he's got that Bellator experience behind him, where he's fairly successful in their 5-2 records. Uh, also had a fight in the LFA because why not? And it's just I think his overall game's just more well rounded. It's going to be it's a fight that's going to go the distance, and in the later portions of the fight, I've got more faith in Vanderford, and it's simple as that really. So I think even though it's more one-sided on Brahim March, I think it's that side of things that's going to get eliminated from this game. Okay, so we have Damien Handel for 20 next to learn his fate, and he gets Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett for their Damien Handel for 20, the Duck. Um, Obviously a very experienced fighter. Um, 19-5 in his career, but tons of UFC experience. Um, He did lose his last fight by unanimous decision against Lerone Murphy, but the thing you'll notice when looking over Emmett's record is recently it doesn't look too impressive, but the people he's fought have only been the elites of the featherweight division. Lerone Murphy really starting to make his claim uh, in the upper portions of the UFC rankings now. Uh, his other losses there are to Ilya Tapuria, obviously the current champion. Well, not current champion, actually. No, he moved to bloody hell. How did I forget that? He moved up, but he was the champion. Obviously, Volkanovski's back the champion again. Um, but yeah, basically the lineal champion per se of the featherweight division. Well, that's the thought. Actually, we're probably never going to have another lineal champion again, are we? At featherweight for that division. Oh well. Um, Easy come, easy go. Um, but yeah, no, with all these people moving around all the weight classes, but the fact he went the distance against Tapuria, who's been finishing everybody else left, right, and centre, is incredible. Like Holloway, Volkanovski himself, of course. It's yeah, it's been incredible. So the fact that he could survive against him is that's going to age very, very well. I think there's going to be a lot of younger fans in the future who will probably get into MMA in the same way that so obviously Conor McGregor brought a lot of new fans into the UFC, and I suppose Ilia Topuria could potentially drag fans in the same way with a lot of casual fans which only really watch his fights, only really uh follow the sport because of him, but and they're not going to be familiar with the likes of Josh Emmett, perhaps once Emmett's, of course, retires. And they'll look through his Superior's record and say, who's this Josh Emmett guy that managed to go the distance with our goat, our donkey, or whatever the kids call it these days? I don't know. But it's yeah, that's going to age very well. It's basically what I'm trying to say. It's anyway. Obviously Josh Emmett, he is now 40, as I did mention retirement, and like I say, he's getting on a little bit now. So, but only losses have been to the elite of the division. So I suppose in that sense, why would you quit? Especially when you're not being finished by them, or too often anyway. He's up against Yusuf Zalal though, and again he's quickly rising up the featherweight rankings. The new kid on the block per se. Well, not really new anymore, is he? But he's been getting a lot of wins by unanimous decision, and that seems to be the way to beat Emmett. You're not going to finish him. There's no chance that Salau finishes Josh Emmett. That would be probably that'd be a huge upset. You'd get great odds for that. But Salau did beat Calvin Cater in his by decision last time out, and he does have submission and knockout. He does have submissions in him and knockout power in his fist. To be fair, so it's not as if he's a sort of a pitter patter point fighter. He does go out there and have a war, but if anything, that makes it scarier. The fact that he does try and finish, but if the opponent is still there, he's got that consistency to stay in the fight with them. It's not and get the decision. Uh, because Calvin Cater as well was a great striker himself. So the fact that he was able to sort of mitigate that and just to get a win is incredible. And but the truth is, as I mentioned, Josh Emmett, 40 years old, Calvin Cater still only 29. He's only really going to be starting to get into his prime. And is minus 500 favourite according to the bookmakers. And I think that's harsh, to be honest. I think it's harsh on Emmett. I wouldn't have thought he'd be that heavy a favourite against Josh Emmett, but it's understandable to an extent. So, yeah, I think Damien Handel 420 is going to need a fair bit of luck there. Dr. Maxis 2 is next to find out what the wheel has in store for him. And he gets Nikolay Veretennikov. I hope I pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. Veretennikov. Probably not spelt it right either, but anyway, he's up against Punahele Soriano. Uh, and I've got Punahele Soriano to win that one by knockout, second round specifically. Um, the obvious places are be comparing their UFC records. Soriano 5-4 in the UFC. Not the most spectacular record, admittedly, but a very solid gatekeeper compared to the 1-2 UFC record of Varentenikov. Um, is It's going to be. He did get his first win in his last fight in the promotion, and he needed to because if he'd have lost against Francisco Prado, he'd have probably found himself on the chopping block. So that win might have saved his UFC contract, but prefers to look for the knockout. That's his headhunter. That's his bread and butter. But that's also pretty much the same tactic for Soriano. Let's be honest. So it's going to be a striking affair in this fight, and it's going to be a case of gets that who gets that shot off first, and I think that's going to be Soriano. So Punahele Soriano for a second round knockout is my prediction for that one. So again, I think Dr. Max's 2 might just need a little bit of luck here. El Guapo next to learn his fate. We'll give a shout out to El Guapo for his incredible commentary that he does. uh, on the forums by commentating the commentating the action, giving flowery descriptions of what's gone down, and he finds himself with Khalil Roundtree Jr. So that is um, obviously puts him as a head-to-head against who was it again? There's Cheeseball that had Proshaka, wasn't it? It was yeah, Khalil Roundtree Jr. versus Hiri Proshaka, uh, El Guapo versus Cheeseball. Um, and like I say, that's a fight I can talk about all night. For your mental sanity and mine, it's probably best I don't, but I will just go over the main point there again that it's going to be a striking affair. It's from that's what I'd expect from both fighters. I'd expect Proshaka to try and keep it standing. I'd expect Roundtree to try and keep it standing. Um, for the most part, anyway. Uh, but it's just I'm still worried about that damage that Roundtree took from Pereira because he was still standing after taking the sort of punishment that would have killed most people. Uh, Most people would have been in a very serious condition in hospital. I mean, obviously Roundtree was just a little bit after, but I mean, that would most people would probably still be in that hospital. So the fact that Roundtree Junior has wanted to carry on fighting after taking all of that is just basically his body physically giving up on it. Um, and of course, having a fight since then against the former champion Jamal Hill, so and winning. It's incredible, but it's yeah, I'm still concerned about the long term effects of the damage that he took against Pereira there. So and especially coming against someone with the power that Proshaka has, it's yeah, it's it could potentially be a very deadly fight, yeah. For well, very dangerous fight for him. I think Proshaka is going to eventually find that knockout. It's just a question of obviously how long Roundtree Jr. can withstand it. Um, it could be potentially that Roundtree does survive the whole thing, wins the decision, but I think, to be honest, a Proshaka knockout's a little bit more likely, in my opinion. Okay, so next to face the wheel is Foghorn Sam. Let's see who he's going to be rooting for tomorrow night. And he gets Daniel Santos, so he gets thrown into the coin flip fights. Because there was a couple of people that had Ju Sang Yu, like myself and AZ and Kanhega Ruiz had Ju Sang Yu. They'll be up against Foghorn Sam and Daniel Santos in a fight that can go either way. That's It's just a question of well, it's just, you don't even know what to question with you being undefeated. You don't know what to question about him, really. Um, Still going to have the confidence of an undefeated fighter coming into this, so that's an advantage. Santos a little bit more experienced, especially at this kind of level, this UFC level. So maybe maybe the confidence he has, still being undefeated, and of course winning his UFC debut in just 28 seconds, is that's going to be enough to keep the momentum going and to keep the yeah, like I say, just keep the momentum going, keep the hype train going, make it 10-0. But I've gone with Santos, but honestly, I am not confident in that. And very winnable fight for both fighters. So probably the most intriguing fight on the card. Not necessarily the biggest names in the on the cards, given how stacked the card is, but yeah, no, it's a very intriguing fight. One of the most tactically intriguing. Okay, so next up we have another returning player, Geneva 65. Welcome back, and let's see if the wheel looks kindly on you for returning players, maybe. Probably not. Will doesn't give a shit. But anyway, he's given you Edmund Shabazian. Edmund Shabazian there for Geneva 65. Shahbaz Bazyan. Yep. Uh, Try and spell these fighters' names where possible. They're putting their bodies on the line, so for our entertainment, the least I can do is at least try to spell their names right. Um, Obviously Shabazian's up against Andre Muniz. He's well, I've got him to win the first round knockout. Let's not try and beat around the bush too much. He's a knockout artist. It's it's that's going to be his game plan. He's going to look for the knockout, and Muniz has let's be honest, he lost his last fight against Ikram Aliskerov by knockout. He has six knockout losses in total in his career, in his 24 and 7 career. Six of those losses by knockout. Uh, Paul Craig, one of the people involved, obviously don't have time to list there for everybody else, but he's more of a submission artist himself, but you try and bring it to the ground, and it's possible that that could be the way he ends up winning this, maybe. But if he can get a good hold of Shabazian, maybe drag him into the to the canvas, drag him into deep water. But it's someone who's got the striking ability of Shabazian. I think it's more likely than not that he's eventually going to find a shot that ends the fight, and I think it's going to come sooner than later. First round knockout. Probably the most realistic way Muniz wins is by decision. Maybe if maybe if Shabazian gasses himself out looking for that knockout, um, he can sort of capitalize on that and control the rest of the fight. But so maybe there could be a slight upset there if that's what happens. But I've got faith in Edmund's ability to find the knockout, and in all honesty, I don't have much faith in Andre Muniz's chin. So this this is going to end early, in my opinion. And luckily for it, for Geneva 65, ending in his early in his favour in theory. So I'd expect to see Geneva 65 in the second round. Okay, so we have a debutant, Grahamon, in this game. So welcome to the game, and great to have you here as always. And good luck. All I can say is good luck with the wheel. Let's see if the wheel will be kind to Graham. If the wheel's actually going to fucking move. Okay, I might just need to give this a quick refresh. Bear with me a second. There we go. Try and get stable. Right. Okay, right. Anyway, Graham and learning his fates in the now refreshed wheel. Don't know, don't know why the wheel's falling asleep in the middle of the game. Uh, but anyway, we eventually got there. And you get drawn with Brogan Walker. Brogan Walker there for Graham. And I'll say the wheel there just taking a nap in the middle of it. You only work one day a week, the wheel, and it's still gone to sleep. Falling asleep on the shift. Unbelievable. Anyway, Brogan Walker in the opening fight in on this card against Veronica Hardy. Uh, Brogan Walker is a plus 500 underdog. 0-2 in the UFC, still looking for her first UFC win. She was 3-2 in Invicta, to be fair to her. That's respectable because they've got some great fighters over there. A lot of the best women come out of Invicta. That's usually the main stepping stone for female fighters coming into the UFC. Um, But Veronica Hardy is just far more established in the UFC 4-5, which okay, so it's not the most spectacular record, but it's a solid one. Um, and she's proven that she can at least hang with the other women in the flyweight division in the UFC. So whereas we haven't really seen that from Walker having lost her first two fights, so it's not a lot I can really say. Um, I'd expect Veronica Hardy's win by decision in a what I'd expect to be a very, very one-sided opening fight. Um, so yeah, I think Graham and might be leaving us at this early stage in the first round, but who knows? Maybe Brogan Wall can cause a massive upset. Uh, maybe Brogan can survive us, surprise us all rather, and keep Graham in this game. But I don't think it's likely, in all honesty. Okay, it's your boy SB next to discover who he's going to be paired with. And he gets Daniel Santos. So that's another person added to the coin flip fight, which is rapidly becoming our low-key main event, Lucky Bastard Game main event here. Ju Sang Yu and versus Daniel Santos. Right. So we got A, laugh myself an AZ, Kenhager Ruiz. Was it just those two with Ju Sang Yu? Yeah, looking over the list seems to be. With and it's your boy SB, Daniel Santos, and oh, okay, I thought there was the third one, but it's two v two apparently. Popcorn Sam, it's your boy SB versus A and Kenhager Ruiz. And not a lot to add to that, seeing I've already covered it three times before. It's just a very, very close fight between uh, Daniel Santos, who's got off to a very respectable start in his UFC career, uh, and or do you fancy the Korean Zombie Junior? Um, Still undefeated, won his UFC debut in spectacular fashion. Uh, it's not really a lot I can add other than that. Just in terms of the experience, I'm going with Santos. But just because he got more UFC fights under his belt. But as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much the only thing that splits these two. Um, I can't really see either of them finishing the other, if I'm being honest. Maybe you could, given that he knocks out Jeka Sharagiv in just 28 seconds, as I mentioned. But I think Santos is just a little bit tougher than that. He's not going to go down as easily. Obviously, Jeka is a great fighter himself, undefeated, but maybe that was the first time we've really seen him uh, get rocked by another fighter. So maybe that was a bit of a chin check, so to speak. But from what I've seen of Santos, he doesn't. I'd be surprised if he went down that easily. But I am expecting it to go the distance, and I'm expecting Santos to win. Well, not. I'm not really expecting anything. That's what I put down as a prediction. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen with this fight. Either of them could beat the other, so it's yeah, no, nothing would surprise me with this one. But very, very close fight. Probably the closest in terms of the odds on the card. So best of luck to everyone involved in that fight, not least the fighters themselves. Okay, so now we have Jack Soto, who's going to be learning his fate. Let's see who will is going to pick for Jack Soto. And from one Santos to another, Yana Santos. Uh, don't think there's any relation there. Probably not. Um, Quite a common name to be honest, Santos. But anyway, first time Yana Santos has come up, and she's obviously fighting Macy Chiasson. Yana Santos with I suppose you'd say slightly more impressive record of 16 wins and 8 losses compared to Chiasen's 10 wins and 4 losses. But uh, I'll be honest, I've gone with Macy Chiasen um, to win by decision. It is worth noting Macy actually missed weight by 1.5 pounds. I know it's rude to talk about women's weight, but that's fact of the matter is she missed weight by 1.5 pounds, and well, strictly speaking, it's 2.5 pounds if you're going brutally by the 135 limit. Obviously, non-title fights they get a £1 discretionary limit allowance. But she still missed that one by 1.5 pounds too. So couldn't even make 136. So yeah, here we find ourselves in a 138 pound fights. Chiasen versus Yana Santos, and rather than a strictly bantamweight fight, but all things considered, it's going to be regarded as a bantamweight fight. Uh, but despite the weight list miss anyway, it's yeah, I can see Chiasen winning this one. Won the she actually lost rather against Ketlin Vera a few months ago, but she's fought better opposition since and in the past, and yeah, the sort of fighters that Yana Santos just doesn't have on her record. She's got Misha Tate, who she won in her last fight against in her last fight, but she's been a bit of a gatekeeper in the UFC 6 and 5, but again, not really going anywhere in the UFC per se. She deserves to be in the UFC. Don't get me wrong, but she's kind of stuck there, so to speak. Sort of stuck, well, sort of stuck in her current level in the UFC. Nothing wrong with being a gatekeeper, but Chiasen's just a little bit above that level. It's probably what I was trying to say, but completely butchered all my words there. But I think that yeah, Jack Sossa's going to need quite a bit of luck to get through this one, and I feel like I've been saying that phrase to end off quite a lot in this in this first round. So could we be looking at a mass elimination in this first round? I hope not, but I feel like a lot of the ones I've picked are not coming up. The ones that I think are going to win aren't coming up. But statistically, there should be about half of you going through. That's usually the case, but there's quite a few that just got a feeling quite a lot will be going out so far. Probably what about halfway through this now? How many more have we got to go through? Yeah, about half. But yeah, we'll see how the second half of it plays out. But anyway, uh, moving on, we have JP the Champ 27 making his Tapology Lucky Bastard Game debut. So welcome. Great to have you in this. And of course, as I mentioned, thanks for running the baddest motherfuckers game. Just a reminder for anyone, if you're not in that game, what you're even doing with your life on Tapology, because it's a great game to be a part of. Very simple to play. You just make your picks, and more accurate they are, the more points you get. And at the end of each quarter, you could be crowned the champion. And unlike this one, you can hop into that game at any time as well. This one, we do have to have our entrance start from the very first rounds of the new game. But in that one, nice and flexible. You'll be at points disadvantage, obviously, if you do, but you can just hop in whenever you like. So it's a very flexible game, that one. Very well worth checking out. But anyway, let's see how he does in this game. Let's see if JP the Champ 27 uh, fares in the Lucky Bastard game. Different arena altogether. Okay. Right. Dresden Vines. Oh, that's so unfortunate. I'm sorry. There's no way of beating about the bush here. You're absolutely fucked. Um, Tristan Vines, for JP the Champs 27. Uh, right, dearie me. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, firstly, I will just say this absolute fair play to Tristan Vines himself for taking this fight because it's a short notice fight, UFC debut, because he was actually meant to be fighting uh on the LFA card next week. That fight's obviously been cancelled because he's taken this one at short notice for the UFC. Um, and because obviously Ataber Gautier's previous opponent pulled out, so fair play to him for stepping up on short notice. I always admire fighters that do that. It's great to see, and they uh, although it is a very dangerous fight to take because Gautier is a knockout artist, and yeah, Tristan Vines is they are say it's fair play to him for having the bollocks to take this fight because there's not many people that want to step into Tabor Gautier. I mean, how does that phone call even work? Like, do you get a call from Hunter Campbell, basically saying, "Look, we need a fighter for this absolute wrecking ball we've got. It'll be a UFC debut and cancel your upcoming fight in the LFA to come and potentially get knocked the fuck out with our new." It's just it's such an insane thing to agree to, really. But yeah, fair play to Tristan Vines, nothing but respect, and I hope you do win because that would be incredible. I mean, incredible to see, and you deserve it. So I hope he does, but I can't see that happening. We've got Octavio Gautier by first round knockout. Um, Gautier himself, 2-0 in the UFC. Uh, he's like I say, he's just been knocking, and yeah, not really much else I can say other than most people he's come up against um have beaten him. Or not beaten him, not have been uh, I've completely butchered that one, haven't I? The only most people he's come up against have been knocked the fuck out by him, not beaten him. What I was going to say is he. We'll just give a shout out to the only person who has beaten Octavio Gautier. That is a fighter called Glenn Williams, who won a split decision against Octavio Gautier back in 2022. And I had a look at his records on Tapology, and that was his pro debut, and to date, his only fight, or only professional fight. He's had a whole bunch of amateur fights, but that was to date his only fight. So I don't know if he's retired or if he's just inactive or if he's suffered some kind of serious injury. I don't know what's going on, but it's an amusing thought, isn't it? That you turn pro 1-0, you beat a guy that goes on to become a UFC not wrecking machine. It's I say it's just a lovely little piece of trivia there, but he is the exception rather than the rule. Like yeah, and well maybe Tristan Vines to be the second person too, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's kind of reflected in the odds. Octavio Gautier is minus 1,800. Um, that gets to the point I don't even really understand how stupid those odds are. I think that would be the equivalent of because we use fractions over here in the UK. So I think that would be the equivalent of being 1 to 18 on. Effectively, I think it's like if you stick £18 on it, you're gonna get a pound back, which is just no value in that at all. But Tristan Vines himself plus 880. So we can round that up to being near enough 9 to 1. Um, yeah. That is just so unfortunate. It's your lucky bastard game debut, and you get one of the biggest favourites we've ever had. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The wheel is a cruel cunt at times. Oh dear, that is unfortunate. But you can suppose you can only laugh at that. or if you do go through, then that is one hell of a debut. Anyway, KK Kombu is next to learn his fate. Decided to go back to being a single player after our somewhat unsuccessful alliance. Me and him joined up last in the last game. Um, and yeah, we went out after a few rounds. So he decided to go back to being a single player, which is probably fair enough, to be honest. That's probably for the best. The alliance didn't really bring us much luck, and that's the whole point of forming alliances. So best of luck to you, KK Kombu. Let's see if you can succeed where collectively we couldn't. Let's see who the KK Kombu is going to be paired with. And that's good. That's good to see Punahele Soriano. Um, Punahele Soriano. I don't know how to spell this one. So, Soriano there. And he's up against Nikolay Veretennikov. Somebody else had Veretennikov earlier, didn't they? Yes, Dr. Max's 2. So that's a head-to-head there between Dr. Max's 2 and KK Kombu. And uh, when I mentioned that one earlier, I mentioned Soriano is the favourite. I've got him to win by second round knockout. Um, Coming off that win against Euros Medic, that knockout win, uh, against Veretennikov, who's just about managed to save his UFC career with that split decision over Francisco Prado. Um, I think Soriano's going to find the knockout shot, and to be honest, I suppose that's a very backhanded compliment, isn't it? So, oh, well done on uh, surviving in the UFC, and so getting that win to keep your contracts, and now you're going to we're going to put you up against a guy that's probably going to knock your lights out. Brutal bit of business dealing there by the UFC, if you ask me. But I don't know. I'm too nice to ever work with the UFC. Anyway, or at least as a matchmaker. Anyway, I'm sure there's plenty of great people from the work in the UFC, but not the fighters though. Technically, they're independent contractors. Let's not forget that, and should have. But they sign exclusive contracts, which kind of make them employees rather than independent contractors, but the UFC keep them as independent contractors because they don't want to give them all the benefits that would come with being a contractor or employee. It's a little bit shady, isn't it? I should stop whispering that part now, but yeah. Anyway, bit of a tangent again. That's seems to be a recurring theme. But yeah, Soriano is the one I think is most likely going to win that, and I think KK Kombu is going to get the better of that head to head. Anyway, Knife Rusty next to Face the Wheel. Let's see who Knife Rusty's going to be paired with. And they get a little bit of a complete. My tongue just went for a walkabout there. They get Magomedov. Abus Magomedov there for Knife Rusty. Somebody else. I'm not even drunk. That's the scary thing. I'm actually sober. Right? I tend to record a lot of these after I've had a few drinks. I actually haven't even had a drink tonight. Uh, and the drink I'm currently working on is a soft drink with nothing added. So I shouldn't even be butchering names like as bad as I am. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. But anyway, Bellatrix had Magomedov earlier. Maybe there was another one earlier. I can't quite remember. But up against Joe Pfeiffer, of course, and C. Collins 44 had Joe Pfeiffer. So head said fight there, and it's a fight I can see Joe Pfeiffer ending early. I can see him getting the knockouts, and uh, that's puts Magomedov away. Uh, I mean, Sean Strickland is not really known for his power at Magomedov away, so it's uh yeah, he's gonna it looks kind of like it's a perfect stylistic matchup from Piper's point of view. Um, it's possible, of course, that Magomedov could stifle him like he did Mikel Pereira, but Pereira's striking is more unorthodox than it is effective. It is effective, but it is more unorthodox, and I trust somebody's like I trust Joe Pfeiffer's style more than I trust Mikel Pereira's. Um, there's no flashy nonsense with him. He's just straight knock you out, really. But yeah, maybe Magomedov can find a way of stifling that power, but I don't know. I don't think it's likely, if I'm being honest. I'm still going with Joe Pfeiffer for that one. Okay, so we now move on to our champion, our reigning defending champion, Cake, who obviously won the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game 31st edition in the fourth round. And so let's see if he can start to make a successful defense of his title. Let's see. Who is our champion going to be paired with? And they get Austin Vanderfoot. Austin Vanderfoot there for Cushy Cake. So yeah, there's quite a few now on that fight, isn't there? I feel like I've mentioned the Brahim Arch versus Vanderfoot fight quite a few times. Um, so yeah, I'm getting to the stage where it's getting a bit too complicated to try and work out going through the list of who's been paired with who, but there's a few facing each other in on either side of that draw, and Vanderfoot's the fairly moderate favourite, and he's the one I'm expecting to win as well. Um, I just think that if this fight's going to go the distance, and in the later stages of the fight, Vanderfoot's going to he's going to take over if he isn't already winning by that point. But Brahim Arch does have that more, little bit more UFC experience behind him, but then again, Vanderfoot's got a little bit of that Bellator experience, so it's on paper there's not much to split them, but when you actually see them fight, you can kind of understand the minus 300 odds in Vanderfoot's favor. Uh, but not really a lot more I can add on to that one. So other than I think that Cushy Cake, our defending champion, is getting through to the second round. Okay, so we have another debutant here, MMA Miyagi. Welcome to the game. Best of luck. Great to have you here, and let's see who you're going to be paired with for your first ever Lucky Bastard Game fighter. You get drawn with Punahele Soriano. Punahele Soriano. Um, as you mentioned on the threads, you're going to be there live, so I hope you have a great time. And you've got a fighter I think is going to win his fight against Nikolay Duda, Veretennikov. Uh, um, and the best part, I suppose, from being there in person is that it's the third fight on the card, so fairly early on. You should still be fairly sober by that point. You're having a few beers while you're there, and probably completely wasted by. And that's to be honest, that's partly why I've never gone to a UFC fight. I'd be completely shit faced by the main event, and it would just ruin the whole experience, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm a bit of a lightweight with my drinks, so I suppose I'll probably be out before even the main card started. But um, but anyway, Punahele Soriano against uh, uh, Nicolay. I'm just going to call him Nicolay. It's going to be easier, less likely to cause a diplomatic issue, and far more experience in the UFC with 5 wins and 4 losses, and compared to Nicolay's 1 win and 2 losses there, and yeah, Valentenikov only just still in the UFC, and coming up against someone who's very well established in the promotion now. Um, it proves he can hang with the best of them. Well, not the best of them, but let's be honest. But I mean, it's hang with the ones that own around his skill level in the promotion. So I'm expecting Soriano to finish this one early so that he can uh, hopefully get a nice quick fight for your lucky bastard game fight, and then you can enjoy the rest of the card. It's safe in the knowledge you're through to the second round, or maybe Nicolet's going to win, and you're just going to be really miserable for the rest of the night. I don't know. Hopefully not. Anyway, have a great time while you're there, and we'll move on now to Mule Floyd. Let's see who Mule Floyd is going to be paired with, and give a shout out to Mule Floyd. He does an amazing job of untangling the mess that the wheel creates every round by working out by typing up an order of the cards on the threads. It's incredible that he puts the effort into doing that, because that must be a real headache to work out. But he does make it very convenient for everyone, not just myself. When we go to follow the games, while we'll follow the card whilst yeah, while watching it. But anyway, you get Veronica Hardy. Obviously, it pops up quietly there while I was rambling there. But Veronica Hardy is your fighter, and you've got an excellent chance of getting through. Minus 700 favourites to start us off with for the first prelim fight. 9-5-1 in her career, 4-5 in the UFC. Uh, mostly wins, mostly goes the distance, win or lose. Um, and compared to her opponent, Brogan Walker, who's 0-2 in the UFC, 7-4 in her, which is very respectable in her MMA career, but 0-2 at UFC level. Uh, it's just Hardy just seems to be that level above Brogan Walker. Obviously somebody else got Brogan Walker, didn't they? Yes, Graham got Brogan Walker. So there's a head to head there. But yeah, not really much else I can say other than I just expect Veronica Hardy to just take control of the fight, stay in control of the fight, win by unanimous decision. It's not really not really much I can think to say about that. Not really much I can think to say to play devil's advocate for Brogan Walker and in turn Graham. But obviously, Mule Floyd's going to be happy with that one. It's one of the heaviest favourites on the card. It goes in his favour. Okay, Piggybank is next to discover who awaits him tomorrow night. And Abus Magamadov is the answer to that question. Another one on the. I mean, at this point, I've completely lost track of what the unofficial Lucky Bastard game main event's going to be, but there's quite a few on Abus Magamadov and against Joe Pfeiffer. Uh, Again, it's going to start to get a little bit quicker as people obviously the same names keep coming up. There's not really much else I can add to it. Magomedov far more experience with 28 wins, 6 losses and 1 draw. One against Mikel Pereira last time, but has been knocked out quite a lot. Well, knocked out, well, not quite a lot, twice, but it's a bit of an exaggeration. Um, but against someone like Joe Pfeiffer, that just doesn't bode well, really. You don't want to be, I see, you don't want to be getting knocked out by the likes of Sean Strickland when you're up against Joe Pfeiffer. I mean, to be fair, Sean Strickland, when he lets himself go, he really is a dangerous striker. But I mean, he's for the most part until the last 20 seconds of the fifth round or the third round or whichever he's fighting in. It's that's just not the case. He just um, guess he must have smelled blood in that fight. I don't know, but if he can stop. Magomedov, then Joe Piper definitely can. So I'm not confident in that pick for you, I'm afraid, Piggy Bank, but best of luck with it anyway. Rigno is going to see who his chosen fighter for tomorrow is. Uh, let's see. Oh, right on the edge, but it's Andre Muniz. I don't think anyone's had him so far. Andre Muniz there for Rigno. We've had his opponent, Edmund Shabazian, but even then, I think only once. As it's only once, I think. Yeah, it was Geneva 65 that had Shabazian. Don't think there's anyone else that has him. Glance, I can't see any, but yeah, that's Geneva 65 versus Rigno there as a head-to-head matchup. Uh, and he's uh, coming up. He lost against Ikram Aliskerov in his last fight by knockout. Six knockout losses in his career in total, which again, that's just never bodes well, especially against someone like Shabazian, who's got that dynamite in his fist to end fights. And it's another bit of sketchy matchmaking from the UFC there, as they're clearly looking for. This is basically just giving Shabazian a free win, in my opinion. This is just setting him up to get a knockout win, and great for the fans, great for the highlight reels, but it's you got to question the morality of it, I suppose. But that's the fight game. But truth is, I can't really see any realistic way that's besides maybe submission, or if Shabazian gasses himself out, but I don't think either of those are particularly likely. Obviously, from Moon's point of view, he's going to want to tie up Shabazian just so that he doesn't have just to have that range to get his shots away. But like I said, I just can't see it. Just can't see how that pans out. I think it's more likely Shabazian gets the knockout win there. Okay, so move on to Shat now. Let's see if Shat will be a little bit more fortunate. And Veronica Hardy there for Shat. Um, obviously, she's just come up from Mule Floyd. Maybe she's come up before in the game, but I don't know. It's getting too complicated to follow now. But all I know is she's the massive favourite, minus 700 favourite. So it's against Brogan Walker, who's yet to win in the UFC, uh, plus 500 for her if you fancy her to win. But Walker's got a bit that Invicta experience behind her, the but Hardy's got twice as many UFC wins as Walker does UFC fights in total, and that's not including the ones that Hardy's the other five that Hardy lost. Which okay, yeah, she lost them, but at least she's gaining experience through those ones, and it's just to think this is another little mismatch. Um, I think it's probably the last time we'll be seeing Brogan Walker in the octagon, or at least the UFC octagon. Anyway, if she loses this, could potentially get cut. Usually sign fighters 2, 3 fight contracts. Anyway, that's not the concern of Shat. Shat's with Veronica Hardy, and Shat should be getting through to the second round. CN6 is next to learn his fate. Oh, there we go. Brand new fight have not come up at all. I was wondering if that was going to come up because that's the co-main event. Uh, bantamweight title fight: Mirab Divalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen, and CN6 as Mirab Divalishvili. DV Alishvili. There we go. Current champion, of course. Um, I'm not sure how many defenses he's made now. I've lost count because he's quite an active fighter as well, to be fair to him. He's constantly looking uh, to fight, so he has fairly quick turnarounds. He obviously had that submission win over Sean O'Malley in his last fight, and which is his first finish for ages actually, because he normally goes the distance, normally wins on points after just completely out wrestling, out controlling everybody. I mean, he did it to Henry Cejudo, and he's a three-time, was it like three-time Olympic gold medalist? So yeah, it's if he can do it to Cejudo, he can do it to most people. We had no trouble with doing it to Sean O'Malley for a second time. Of course, that was the second time he'd beaten him. Uh, Corey Sandhagen's a new opponent, at least. So there's that, I guess. Very unorthodox in his striking. He won by a technical knockout against Davison Figueiredo last time, although that was because Figueiredo completely fucked up his knee. So, those things happen in MMA, but that's sort of the kind of how he ended up in this title fight. Um, he did also lose to Umar Nurmagomedov before that, and Magomedov was the also the fight that Merab Dvalishvili had before that, where he won by decision um, in his title fight. So Dvalishvili's already beaten one of the people who's beaten Corey Sandhagen. So it should be another successful defense for Dvalishvili, who's starting to look a little bit unbeatable at bantamweight. I can't really think who else there is in the division that beats him right now. Um, I don't think Sandhagen does, to be fair. It's an intriguing fight to see, just because it's a new face for him. But because otherwise, the only other options, well, what have you got? You can maybe Magomedov again. Um, can't keep giving Sean O'Malley shots. So obviously Figueiredo's probably still out with his knee. So yeah, it's makes sense. It's Anyway, Divalishvili, uh, heavy favourite for this, and Sion 6 should go through. As I'd be very surprised if the belt changes hands and Sion 6 goes out, but I think uh, Divalishvili will still be the bantamweight champion come the end of tomorrow night, and Sion 6 will be heading off into the second round. Okay, so now we have another debutant in this game, Spockling. Welcome to the game and best of luck to you. Hopefully, get a bit of beginner's luck. Let's see who Spockling gets for his first ever fighter. And it's a good one, in my opinion. Yusuf Salau. Yusuf Salau there for Spockling. He's up against Josh Emmett, of course, who someone had him earlier. They had him right off the bat, didn't they? What did they? It was a bit earlier. Yeah, that's right. Damien Handel. Damien Handel 420, or the Duck as he's known now, is had Josh Emmett, so that's a head to head there. Um, but Yusuf Salau, I've picked him to win by decision. Got a unanimous decision win against Calvin Cater in his last fights. He's mostly a submission artist, and that could be a bit of a risk for Josh Emmett because he's been submitted before. Um, I'm only going with the decision because Zalau's also very comfortable going over the distance, and I can't really. I like to think, at least anyway, that Josh Emmett, even though we have seen him be stopped before, I think he's still got that grit and toughness that he can survive 3 rounds with Zalau. But I think survive will be all it really is. So I can't see him winning. He'll have good moments in the fight, of course. He's a brilliant fighter and only recent losses have been against the elites of the division, but yeah, I think Salah's going to take this one. It's just youth versus experience, 11 years between them, with Emmett being 40 now and Salah 29. Um, the bookies have Salah as the -500 favourite as well, which again is a bit harsh, but um, it's somewhat understandable, I suppose. They got to keep money, haven't they? But anyway, I mean, I suppose with Josh Emmett though, he's got that knockout power. We saw that against Bryce Mitchell, so that can end any fight in a second. And Bryce Mitchell as well, he's also very good on the ground. Same kind of threat, I suppose, as Salah poses to an extent. Um, but I can't see I just can't see it happening, to be honest. I think it's more likely Salah wins by decision. So yeah, a good fighter for your first ever fighter, Les Spockling. So I think you'll be into the second round in your first ever try at this game. Uh, Now next it's me. It's Steve Terry. Let's see if Will's going to be kind to me. Oh, it's given me a unique one anyway, one that hasn't come up so far. I get Jacob Wicklax. I apologise for my butchering of that pronunciation. Um, but Jacob Jacob uh, Wick Wicklax. I've no idea how you pronounce one of those funny L's. Uh, but yeah, apologies to him and any other Polish people watching this card. Uh, and to be honest, I've not one I've picked. I've got his opponent Patchy Mix to win by a second round submission. Uh, Obviously, okay, he lost his UFC debut, Patchy Mix, this is, against Mario Bautista, but he was 9-1 in Bellator, and also obviously the champion over there. So that's definitely not to be ignored. You can't disregard that, and that's why I've gone with him. Submission artist, of course, himself. He looks to take it to the ground and finish you there. But and as for Jacob, this is his UFC debut. It's 6-1 in KSW, so he had a very respectable run over there. And KSW is one of the best European promotions going. So it's he comes into it with good pedigree. He's got that going for him. And at 29, he should starting to be entering his prime now. But generally, it does look for the submission as well, Jacob. But is to be honest, I can't see him competing on the ground with Patchy Mix. I don't think. I just don't think he can. To be honest, I think it's what we saw of Patchy Mix in Bellator is still there, and I'm not overly confident that Wicklax can grapple to the same extent that she mixed does. I think it's going to end up being a grappling fight, and it's going to be. And I can see Mix getting submission. He's going to lock something in sooner or later. So yeah, I'm not overly confident about my chances in this game. I think I'll be taking an early bath from this one. But anyway, maybe the dirty UFC man will have a little bit more luck. And the dirty UFC man gets Khalil Roundtree Jr. Khalil Roundtree Jr. there for the dirty UFC man. Obviously up against Hiri Prochaka. And like I say, I want to see Khalil win this one. But still concerned though about the damage he took against Pereira in that beatdown, and it's Against someone like Hiri Bashaka, who's going to be constantly coming forwards, throwing all sorts. He's not just the punches, but also the kicks, the knees, the elbows. He's got that Muay Thai background to him, Bashaka. So uh, yeah, this is the sort of fight that Prochazka would want, let's be honest. It's a good stylistic matchup for him, but Khalil Rountree is going to be a very game opponent and he's going to be very hard to finish. But and the risk there, of course, is Prochazka potentially getting caught with something himself, but on the counter. But I think it is just more likely that the Prochazka wears down Rountree and gets the win. It's the knockout or technical knockout. It's probably going to be technical knockout thinking about it. But still, a win's a win. But just not overly confident in the chances of the UFC man or the dirty UFC man um, or anyone else with Khalil Rountree Jr. Much as I personally want to see him win, I just can't see it happening. I'm a realist before I'm an optimist. Okay, the matchmaker is next up. Let's see if a bit better luck for the matchmaker. And the matchmaker gets Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz there for the matchmaker. And up against Edmund Shabazian, who, again, this is kind of, as I've mentioned earlier, this looks like the UFC are trying to set up Shabazian for a knockout win, trying to get a bit of, trying to get an early finish to liven things up about halfway through the card. Um, Shabazian currently riding a two-fight win streak. Very exciting fighter to watch, very friendly style. Um, Andre Muniz, on the other hand, like I say, he's been knocked out quite a lot in his career. He's taken a lot of damage in his career, and like I say this just doesn't bode well when you're stepping into the cage for someone like Shabazian. It's a one-sided fight, and it's one that I don't think Andre Muniz really has much chance of winning. So yeah, not really much I can add on to that one. It's other than that the matchmaker is going to need a lot of luck in order to get through to the second round of this game. Okay, so now we have the MMA historian. Let's see who the wheel has in store for the MMA historian. And Brogan Walker, another heavy underdog there. Brogan Walker for the MMA historian. First fight on the card against Veronica Hardy. Veronica Hardy minus 700 favorite, more UFC fights under her belt. And Brogan Walker yet to win in the UFC, fighting for a job. So I suppose we could maybe make the devil's advocate argument that would motivate her, light a fire in her. That's out of desperation that you need the win to stay in the promotion. But you know, I can't see it happening. It's I think it's more likely that Veronica Hardy proves why she's been able to stay in the UFC for as long as she has. Uh, and I think maybe Brogan Walker might even serve her well, potentially. Actually, if she did lose this and get cut, then maybe spend a bit more time to honing her skills on the regional scene, and then maybe make a second crack at the UFC some point in the future. Um, but right now, I think Veronica Hardy's going to be too much for her. So again, doesn't bode well for the MMA historian, I'm afraid. So it could be another early exit. Okay, Tosh is next to learn her fate at the hands of the wheel. Let's see. Will the wheel be kind to Tosh? Oh, yep. And that is the best you can hope for. the biggest favourite on the card, a Taylor Gautier. Uh, that is that gives me an opportunity to talk about someone I've not really talked about that much. But yeah, Taylor Gautier there up against Trace on Vines, who uh, JP Champ 27 got drawn with rather unfortunately earlier. And so that's a head to head between JP Champ 27. It's quite an enjoyable name to pronounce. To be honest, until tonight, I'd never really thought about how that was pronounced. But anyway, JP Champ 27 versus Tosh. Uh, that's Tristan Vines versus Tabor Gautier, and Tabor Gautier knocks everybody the fuck out, and the UFC wants him to continue to knock everybody the fuck out. Not least Tosh, of course. And okay, as obviously it's not his fault his previous opponent pulled out, but and up steps Tristan Vines to take this fight at short notice, which yeah, fair play to him. It's a very brave decision to do that, especially when you already had a fight lined up in the LFA, which realistically you'd have had more chance of winning. Um, it's so yeah, incredible balls from Tristan Vines there, but yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. The the UFC want another knockout. This is I'll say with Gautier taking last minute opponents who wasn't preparing for him. Uh, and yeah, Gautier's a minus 1,800 favourite, and the bookies aren't wrong for that. That's just to be blunt, that's just the reality of it. But that's a reality that Tosh is going to be very happy with. Also, the only person so far to get Octavia Gautier. Let's fully expect Tosh, or be very, very surprised if Tosh isn't in the second round. Okay, Trail Allman is next to take the well take on the wheel, I suppose. That's one way of saying it. Trail Allman. Let's see who he's going to be paired with. There we go. I was just saying that they're like it's like buses of this wheel, isn't it? Uh, you wait ages for one name to come up, and it comes twice. Two come along at once, don't they? Comes up twice in a row there. So yeah, not really much else I can add to that. Also with Octavia Gautier, hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Octavia Gautier. But apologies if not. But yeah, that's his whole thing really. 2-0 in the UFC, and both in the UFC and in on the regional scene, he's just been knocking people out left, right, and centre, north and south, east and west. So he's probably going to continue to do that against Tristan Vines. Who, like I say, incredible balls, and I'd love to see him win. I mean, obviously, I know you guys probably think like, Steve, what the fuck? Why are you saying that? But I mean, just for the underdog story, okay? I would like to see Tristan get the win on his UFC debut, given what he gave up to take this fight. But yeah, can't see it happening. So yeah, both Tosh and Trey Allman um, expecting to go through. Obviously, both of them up against JP the champ 27. Okay, Trig is now set to face the wheel. Let's see who Trig gets paired with. And Trig gets another knockout artist in Edmund Sharbazian. Edmund Sharbazian there for Trig, who obviously against Andre Munoz. And Munoz has just been knocked out so many times before in his career. And yeah, like I say, Shabazian knockout artist. Uh, it's in a way, it's a case of it's almost as if his record and his UFC record, particularly of 8-5, his MMA record of 15-5, it doesn't really reflect how good he actually is, or at least not how much of a mismatch this fight is. 'Cause you'd think it would be more competitive than it is when you look at Munoz's 24-7 record, but no, again, as I've mentioned several times before now, this is the UFC looking to get another exciting knockout win for Edmund Sharbazian. But Trick's not going to mind that. Means an easy ticket into the second round. Let's now move on to the first of our two alliances, Trostradamus. That is, of course, Tros and Costradamus, joined together in holy matrimony. Um, so let's see if making the alliance is going to be successful for them. Uh, hasn't been so far, but they've stuck with it. Fair play to them. Uh, maybe this time, or maybe not, because they get Khalil Roundtree Jr. And as I say, maybe I hope he wins. I really do, but and maybe he can catch Brashaka on the counter or something along those lines. But as I've said many times before, I feel like quite a lot of people have got Roundtree Jr. actually in this game so far. But yeah, no, I'd say he's got to be the underdog here against Brashaka, and I'd say understandably so as well, if I'm being honest. Prochaska's got that obviously that Muay Thai background. He's going to be constantly in his face, looking for the knockout. Because of course it's a big fight for both of them. Because realistically, whoever wins this is right back into title contention, arguing their case for another title fight. So obviously high stakes, even though it's not a title fight in and of itself. It's about as close as you can get to those kind of stakes. And Nostradamus, I think you're going to need a little bit of luck. It's That's best of luck to you because I'd love to see Roundtree Jr. win. I just don't think it's realistic. Okay, so Uber Industry next to learn his fate. That's of course it's the second alliance, Uber Match and Swear Industry. Oh, and would you look at that? Would you look at that? Both the alliances get the same fighter. Trostradamus and Uber Industry, the German alliance, also drawn with Khalil Roundtree Jr. So, what are the odds of that? Uh, oh dear. Well, anyway, so I suppose with one night only they become Trostradamus Uber Industry Alliance or something along those lines. Um, anyway, both of our alliances on ride or die with the same fighter. So, it does put it in a unique situation that they either both go out or we have a second round with no alliances at all, or we have a second round with both of the alliances. But who knows? Maybe four heads all together in one four-way alliance is going to work out for the best, hopefully. But I can't see it happening if I'm being honest. Best of luck to you four, though. Finally, we have ex-con Chris. Uh, let's see. Who is ex-con Chris going to be paired with? And he gets Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett there for ex-con Chris. Obviously, he's up against Yusuf Salau. Yusuf Salau, I suppose, the young kid on the block, um, taking on a UFC veteran who's ton of UFC fights under his belt, ton of MMA fights under his belt. Uh, it's still it's 40 years old. Time catches up with all of us, and yeah, he has only lost to the best recently, to be fair. And so Yusuf Salau, he's climbing the ranks quickly, but he's not quite one of the featherweights elites just yet. So maybe he can still act as a sort of an old man gatekeeper, so to speak, and just um, no, I've put it like that actually. Yeah, that's makes me think it's more possible. But But yeah, anyway, of course, he could potentially still got the power. So yeah, it's certainly possible. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But Yusuf Salau, submission artist, and uh, Josh Emmett has been submitted before, and but Salau's comfortable going over the distance as well if it goes that far as well. So yeah, all that I can say to that is I think Zalau's going to win in my opinion. But best of luck to you anyway, ex-con Chris. Okay, so that concludes the draw for the first round of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game 32nd edition. I will just run through those names one more time. Obviously, I'm not going to try and work out the complicated who's been paired up with who's fighting who in head to head, who's doubled up with who and all that. But anyway, your final order anyway is A with A like myself and AZ with Ju Sang Yu, Baron von Rattus with Ramiz Brahimaj, Bellatrix with Abus Magomedov, Boom Shakalaka with Austin Vanderfoot, Cal Foth with Chris Gutierrez, Canhego Ruiz with Ju Sang Yu, C. Collins 44 with Joe Pfeiffer, Cheeseball with Hiri Pushaka, Cool Hand Puke with Ramiz Brahimaj, as is D1D4K10. Damien Handel 420 with Josh Emmett, Dr. Maxis 2 with Nikolay Verens Henikoff, El Guapo with Khalil Roundtree Jr., Foghorn Sam with Daniel Santos, Geneva 65 with Edmund Sharbazian, Grahamon with Rogan Walker, It's Your Boy SB with Daniel Santos, Jack Soto with Yana Santos, JP DeChamp 27 with Traced on Vines, my condolences. KK Kombu with Punahele Soriano, Knife Rusty with Abus Magomedov, the reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Game champion, Cushy Cake with Austin Vanderfoot, MMA Miyagi with Punahele Soriano, Mule Floyd with Veronica Hardy, Piggy Bank with Abus Magomedov, Rigno with Andre Muniz, Shat with Veronica Hardy, Siunsix with Merab Divalishvili, Spotling with Yusuf Salau, Steve Terry, myself with Jacob Wiklas, the Dirty UFC Man with Khalil Roundtree Jr., the Matchmaker with Andre Muniz, the MMA Historian with Brogan Walker, Tosh with Ateba Gautier, as is Trail Allman, Trig with Edmund Sharbazian, Chostradamus with Alliance with Khalil Roundtree Jr., as is the Uber Industry Alliance with Khalil Roundtree Jr. also. And finally, we have XCon Chris with Josh Emmett. So that concludes the video, the first round draw. I feel like there's quite a lot of fighters on this card I've not really covered that much. I feel like we've got there's quite a lot of people all on the same fights. Like I know are in fact, funny enough, actually, I don't think anyone got yeah, nobody got the main event. Nobody got Magomedov and Kalaev, and I think there's only one person that had Merab Dvalishvili in the co-main. So yeah, that's interesting mix. I think it's a bit one-sided onto certain fights, but that's our mess for the first round. All that leaves me to say is best of luck to everyone in this game. Best of luck with your predictions on Tapology. If you've got any bets on this card, good luck with those. And to those of you who survive, I'll see you in the second round. But until then, so long for now.